Guys with more hair than Matthew Berry.
That's right. It's time now for Guys with More Hair Than Matthew Berry with Dan Graziano. We had literally millions of candidates to choose from because everybody has more hair than Matthew Berry.
It's not right to do that to him.
Dan, thanks for joining us.
He's not even here.
Let's talk about guys who are buy low candidates in fantasy. Let's begin in the AFC with Gronk. He has been the Patriots' best offensive player for years, not named Tom Brady, but he's off to somewhat of a slow start. What are you seeing here?
Well, I see that he's still being used the same way as usual, but the Patriots' offense, as we know, took a little while to find its footing. Now you have Julian Edelman back. I don't, unless there's a health issue with Gronkowski, and there always seems to be. So I guess it's a matter of, you know, to what degree is there a health issue with Gronkowski? I would think he's a guy you'd want. I mean, we were talking about buy low. The word is low. Like if you can get him cheap, you go ahead and do it, right? Because you're not buying the first 4 weeks.
Right. You're always betting on the upside of Gronk, despite the fact that he has one red zone target so far this year. It happened to come in Week 1 against the Houston Texans, where he scores that unbelievable touchdown from Brady. But here's the most important part: tight ends stink. There are very few tight ends in the NFL. You can't. He's still tight end 7, despite a very un-Gronkian start to his season. Now, Leonard Fournette has been in and out of the Jaguars lineup because of a hamstring injury, and TJ Yeldon has played well in his absence. We don't know when Fournette will return, but whenever that is now the time to strike on acquiring Fournette?
Again, if the price is low enough, it's worth a flyer. But my concern here with Fournette is once he's back, do they back him off that massive workload from last year? Because he's had health problems, and Yeldon has been productive. So is there a way for you to find, you know, if you're the Jacksonville coaching staff, are you now thinking, maybe we don't lean on him as much as we were intending to because maybe he can't take that? So if you are buying Fournette, you might not be getting the guy you thought you would have been getting if you drafted him in August.
I would just say this. Like, I always like the idea of acquiring star players on the cheap if possible, but what I'm scared of is what you alluded to is, A, when he returns, do they utilize him as a 20-plus touch per game guy? And B, I just know that the moment you acquire, I acquire Leonard Fournette, he returns and then he pulls not just the same hamstring, probably the other hamstring as well. It feels like one of those situations that's going to be touch and go all year. Now, there are some interesting names in the NFC. What do you make of Vikings running back Dalvin Cook?
Again, it's an injury situation, so you have to be worried, right? Is he ever going to get healthy this year? So what are you getting? So again, it's about the price. But it is a guy I would like to acquire if I can in leagues where I don't have him, because I think the Vikings plan to use him a lot. They can't, from what I understand, they don't really trust Latavius Murray in the passing game the way they would trust Dalvin Cook in the passing game. So this is a guy, if he does get back, this is a guy who's got a huge, huge part of their offensive plans. So you're buying on a lot of upside there. Again, I think you can get him cheap because I think whoever drafted him is upset, right? And now they're...
Are you like subtweeting me, but in actual course of conversation? A couple of issues on Cook, obviously, the fact that he's missed 2/3 of the games of his NFL career. But the difference between here and the Leonard Fournette situation is, like you said, Dan, like the Jaguars are getting a lot out of TJ Yeldon. The Vikings not getting enough out of Latavius Murray. So I'm with you. Dalvin Cook would be a guy that I would be targeting. Let's bring this thing home with another running back. It's Bears runner Jordan Howard, who Matt Nagy has had to go out in the public and say, no, we like this guy a lot. Do you like him enough that you will be acquiring him as a buy low candidate if possible?
So there's a league where the same guy has Dalvin Cook and Jordan Howard.
Okay.
And Saquon Barkley. So these guys are available. Problem is he's a Bears fan, so he's trying to hold on to Howard, trying to gauge whether he's upset with Howard or whether he wants to hold on to him. But I like Howard as a guy to pick up too. I would like to get either one of those guys from him. And you know, I was at that game where Trubisky threw the 6 touchdowns, and it was all Tariq Cohen. And my understanding, talking to people before and after that game, is they thought they had some real serious mismatches against Tampa Bay with the speed of Cohen and Taylor Gabriel, so those guys were huge factors in that day's game plan. I don't think that means Jordan Howard's not a factor going forward. So if you have somebody who's scared that he's not, I would say take advantage of that because I think he is a huge part of the Bears' plans.
The Bears have played 4 games, so they already had their bye. After 2 games, we were talking about how much his passing game has increased this year, his passing game role, and now we're talking about whether he needs to be a buy low candidate. I think I would just stay the course with Jordan Howard if you have him. If you have the opportunity to acquire him, go ahead and do so. His fantasy advice, it's awesome. His hair, it's even better. Sorry, Matthew, that wasn't a pot shot. It's just really nice hair.
It's him and Daniel. It's not me.
It's TV hair.
I'm not.
What can you say?
I'm not talking hair.
Thank you, Dan.
My pleasure.
For all the latest fantasy football news and analysis, you can binge watch all the episodes of the Fantasy Show right now on ESPN+.